Now I would like you to just begin to relax by taking in a deep, relaxing breath. And I'm going to begin to count down from 5 to 0. Each number will take you to a deeper hypnotic depth than the number before. And you'll feel almost as if you are dropping into deeper and deeper states of consciousness. As you hear each number, I'd like you just to visualize it, and when I click my finger, you will notice the number is going to disappear and you drop into a deeper state of hypnosis, beginning at 5, deeper, 4, deeper, 3, deeper, 2, deeper, 1, deeper, 0, deep sleep. Each and every time deep sleep is suggested to you, and for the purpose of hypnosis, you will find yourself drifting deeply and completely and easily into the hypnotic sleep. As you enter this hypnotic state, you will notice yourself become increasingly relaxed, increasingly at ease, increasingly at peace, and dropping deeper and deeper. And now as the mind begins to calm and soothe itself, and thoughts begin to just drift away, and the more you try to hold on to thoughts, the more and more they drift away. So you can even try harder and harder, but you'll notice them drifting away. And now the mind is becoming hyper-suggestible to all the positive hypnotic suggestions you choose to give your mind. And now I would like you to imagine yourself walking down the street. And as you walk down the street, you just begin to notice that you are remembering many of the relationships you've been in the past. And these relationships reflected your past belief systems that you learned through your childhood and your conditioning. And as you walk down the street, you can just actually observe yourself at different times in your life, in different relationships in which you believed you were not worthy, you were not lovable, and you depended on emotionally unstable and psychologically unstable people to love you, and to validate you and to approve of you. And just notice how they were unable to do so, and how harmful and hurtful these interactions became. But these looked very familiar to you. And you keep walking down this road that represents your past, and you keep seeing more and more relationships. And some of these relationships represent codependent behavior. And codependency simply means that you derived your happiness, your value, your worth as a human being from a relationship, and you became dependent on them for your sense of self-value. And you began to develop a huge fear that they may leave you or abandon you. And you would become obsessive and maybe at times feel worthless, and chase after them and pursue them and try to secure them, because when they were not around, you would feel worthless, unlovable. And as we keep walking to the past, we see these relationships and we see how painful they are, how difficult they are, how challenging they are. And you just notice that this is not something you really wish to align with anymore. And the last scene you see on the street that represents the past is a relationship between one of the major parental figures in your life, and how they responded to love, and how they responded to relationship, and how this parent felt unlovable, felt unworthy, felt like they derived their value, their worth, and they kept being disappointed and hurt and abandoned over and over again. And now you just look at this whole street of the past with compassion, with awareness, and you begin to step back further and further and further. And every step takes you further and further away from this pattern. And this pattern begins to decrease and become less and less attached. And you'll notice that the street is beginning to move further and further away out of your visual attention. And it is just becoming more and more challenging to even understand how this pattern even emerged. And then you feel less and less attached, and you realize that this pattern is actually painful, unfamiliar, excruciating, and it is far more excruciating to hold on to ideas of validation seeking, abandonment, and codependency. These are no longer your conditioning. These are no longer your patterns. This is no longer your love template. This is no longer the way you choose to view and see relationships. It is the past, and it is painful, and it is separated from you. And you can feel beneath your feet the ground is beginning to crack, like an earthquake shaking the ground. And it begins to make a gigantic crack, and this crack separates you from this pattern. And this entire landmass of the past, this painful past, begins to crumble into the ground and fall away. And as it does, your heart is released and opened of the pain of the past. And the harder you try to hold on to the pattern, the more and more it crumbles, and the story breaks away, and it is no longer your story. And you stand now on this new ground, and the entire past has crumbled away. And the ground begins to rise higher and higher with you standing on it. And you are being raised to a higher and higher paradigm of love, of self-worth, of self-value. And you notice your self-esteem, your self-love, your sense of being truly and deeply present with yourself, keeping yourself safe, keeping yourself protected, keeping yourself cared for is increasing exponentially. And now you find yourself at the highest paradigm of self-love, self-awareness, and self-acceptance. And as you walk into this paradigm, you notice that you feel like a brand new person. You feel so full of self-value, and you realize that you are complete and perfect and worthy on your own, and that you are in no way dependent on anyone else for your value, for your validation. You love of yourself, you approve of yourself, you care for yourself, you protect yourself. And this feels so empowering. And you begin to walk into this brand new world, and with every step you take, you notice that you are being conditioned to a brand new way of being in relationship, that you are becoming very, very patient in relationships. You are willing and able to wait to see if people are worthy of you, if they meet your criteria of being conscious, of being emotionally responsible, of being loving, of being loyal, of being caring, of being kind, of being psychologically and emotionally stable. And you notice that as you date people, you are very self-assured, and you allow them to come forward. You allow them to prove themselves. You allow them to put their best foot forward and show you that they are worthy. And you just sit back in a very receptive mode, because you know your worth, and your worth only increases every day. and you finally see yourself on a date with a person that after much time and deliberation has proved they are worthy of your affection. They have been a very good suitor, and they have taken so much time to invest in you and have proved they are worthy because they are loving, they are kind, they are trustworthy, they are stable, they are communicative, they are responsible, they are chivalrous, they are caring, and they are truly everything you've looked for, and they are a very conscious, aware, intelligent, emotionally sensitive person, and they worship you, and they honor you, and they care for you, and they would give the world for you. And you notice that you still feel like your worth and your love and your self-love comes from you. And you notice that you are able to take your time and get to know this person, and you find yourself in a very receptive, open state where you realize just how valuable, how precious you are, and the person you date is highly aware of this and feels so blessed to have you. And this is the new paradigm, this is the only paradigm, and this is what is familiar and pleasurable, and it gets stronger and stronger every day in every way through your thoughts, your behaviors, and your actions. And this paradigm is accelerated in the subconscious mind, so every day in every way you become more and more and more of this energy, and you attract people of like energy into your life. And just allowing these associations to deepen and deepen. Finding yourself becoming more and more self-loving, self-aware, self-confident, and having a deeply fulfilling life on your own, with hobbies, with interests, with friendships, and your life is absolutely admirable and spontaneous and fun and exciting, and the people you draw towards you admire you so much. You are truly a catch, and the person you date recognizes it and treats you as such. And just drifting deeper and deeper, knowing you will sleep deeply and fully throughout the night, and that your dreams will lead you to this highest paradigm. And this hypnosis will accelerate your change so much that you will want to listen to it more and more every day in every way. And the more you listen, the change is accelerated by 100 every time you do so. And deep sleep.